I saw that you did quite a few shows with Finger 11, which I know you have a history with, and I see that they have some upcoming, some massive festivals. Some of them are in the U.S. that you'll be a part of. One, I guess a group of shows you did. They had a back-to-back Toronto show and Ottawa show where they were recording and filming, preparing for an upcoming greatest hits album. I was there for the Ottawa show, looked amazing, sounded amazing, the band was on point. My question is, how different is it preparing for a live show knowing that it's actually going to be recorded? So it's not just that in the moment it looks great and people have a good time, they go home and the audio just dissipates into the ether and into history. Here, you know, it's actually going to be recorded and it's got to sound perfect afterwards for recall, essentially. How different is that to prepare for?
Yeah, it's a little different. It's not so much for me per se, because what we did on that, we recorded both in Ottawa, the show that you were at. We actually brought in a separate sound engineer that basically took a multi-track feed into another console, and recorded it just on his computer system, right? So the Toronto laptops. So puts a little more stress on it because you really got to watch your gain and that and make sure nothing's distorting, and that's basically regardless if we're recording or not. But there's that a little extra kind of thing on it where it's like, okay, make absolutely sure that these sources are super clean, right? So you're just spending a little tiny bit more time on making sure that mic is in the perfect spot, getting the headphones on and making sure that everything's EQ'd nicely and the gain structure is really good. And so nothing's distorting. So that's the thing. You get any kind of distortion, whether it be analog or digital distortion, you can't take that away. There's things you can mask it, in post-production, but yeah, so those sources. So it puts a little extra, I wouldn't say it's a stress, but just you got to put in that a little extra effort to make sure that things are going to be all nice and tickety-boo clean, right? As far as visually, that's a different thing too. I think that's more pressure on the lighting guys and the video guys because they got to get those shots right. Since we're recording audio twice, there's little things that you can do, right? And and you can do, not say fix things in the mix, but just re-EQ, compress, and that. But the movement of the guys, that's where the stress actually lies. I should just hit that. Like it's probably more stress on the band than any of the crew, 100%, because they know it's just like their playing's got to be on point. They got to look good. They got to their movement, lighting cues and stuff. They got to be in the light doing a guitar solo, right? Where sometimes they just get lost in the moment and don't care and just give her, right? But so for recording, you definitely gotta, it's stressy for the band and they got to be on point for everything. So
that greatest hits album did come out. What's cool is it's like there's a year history between the last interview and this. So it's like we can see you at that show and then months later, last month, that greatest hits album did come out, and there was a cover of Pink Floyd's "Welcome to the Machine," which is off of one of my three favorite albums of all time, Pink Floyd, "Wish You Were Here," and they released a new single called "Together Right." They filmed an awesome music video for it, and you were actually on location for that. Can you give us any insight into what it was like with that music video?
Yeah, I'll tell you right out of the gate. It was cold, dark, long. It was a day. So yeah, I just went down to basically accept their backline gear. It's not like there was no sound, there's no stage or anything. It was just setting up their backline, and at a different part in the warehouse where they shot it. But yeah, it was a cold, dark, rainy day. It was no heat in this building. It was an old machine factory, I guess, old Stelco plant, I guess, out in Hamilton, right? So I will tell you though, I was the one being the whiner that day, because I think mostly because once everything was kind of in the building and I just had to wait to set up the gear, and the guys were kept busy, right? So they kept super chipper and they were just cracking jokes all day, and it's doing Finger 11 things as they do, right? Because they're all just still best buddies. Like they're all still
Old
teenagers.
high school friends. Yeah.
are, right? That's why I love them, man. They just have remained the same guys and remain really, really good friends. And they kept really in good spirits that day, like more so than I thought that they would, because I was being the one. I'm like, man, like, just wishing those shots could get done so I can get the truck packed and get home. So, but it was awesome. It was a really cool setting, like really dark and like kind of apocalyptic, kind of setting. And they took a big photo shoot that day, and I've seen them. They're starting to commit online. With them releasing, new show dates and stuff, and the pictures look great, and they look awesome, right? So yeah, it was a really cool day. Other than the weather and the surroundings, I guess.
Your description of cold, cold, damp, dark, rainy, that seems perfect for a Finger 11 music video.
It was perfect. That's the thing. Is at the end of the day, it's hearing it back and listen. Sorry, watching it back. It's like, yeah, it was absolutely perfect. Yeah. Great track too. Love the new tune, and it's so much fun to mix live. It's got a really good energy to it.